On this jam-packed upcoming attractions episode, we got trailers for Shang-Chi, Fast 9, Those Who Wish Me Dead, Saw, Arm of the Dead, Space Jam, there's so many! Plus our review for Nobody. Also, let's talk about Falcon and Winter Soldier. All this and more on upcoming attractions, Midnight Double Feature.
So much energy. You've got so much energy. I'm just like, dude, I just finished work. I need a beer.
It's a performance. I've been pooping weird all day and my butthole's really spicy. Let's not leave that
This
in.
is staying in the episode. This is staying in the episode. You know this.
There we
you
go.
know how this works by now, Matthew.
And we're back. There we go again after that amazing intro. I'm not as energetic feeling as I sound. I promise you. How you been, my friend, though? I hope your butthole has not been as spicy as mine.
No, my butthole's been pretty normal.
That's good.
You know, all things considered. Yeah, it's been doing pretty well, man. You know, just settling into the new place, getting back into the podcasting routine. Colin and I just fired off. We just recorded Ghostbusters. It's out after this episode. And then we're going to be doing Ghostbusters. Sorry, we did Ghostbusters 2. We're going to be doing Ghostbusters 1 as a bonus. So that should be pretty cool. But yeah, I haven't been doing too much. You know, I've been still playing the PlayStation here and there. Dude, I tell you what. I started watching Invincible.
Me too.
The Robert Kirkman Amazon Prime exclusive. Really fucking good. I've only watched one episode so far. It's man, it took me by surprise because the first, and look, I'm not here to spoil things. I'm not here to ruin things. If you haven't checked out the show, I think you should. But it's not the show that it sets itself up to be in the first 30 minutes. Definitely stick around after the title card shows up because I think that's definitely the show that it ends up becoming and wants to become. So I thought it was going to be kind of like a run-of-the-mill sort of superhero show about fathers and sons and hereditary powers and stuff like that, but it's not. Give it a go. I think you'll be totally surprised. But yeah, I've just been watching Invincible. We just finished the rewatch of the MCU. We've been watching the MCU over the past couple months or so. We just finished this past weekend. And you know what, man? I've never done a rewatch of the MCU like that, like all in order, all kind of all in close proximity to each other. But it was really kind of eye-opening because it really made me appreciate the movies that I didn't initially enjoy as much. So Guardians Volume 2, I remember liking, obviously, when I left the cinema, but this made me appreciate it a lot more. Even movies like Captain Marvel, even goddamn Thor: The Dark World.
Wow.
Because look, Endgame makes you appreciate Thor: The Dark World even more. So, when you're watching movies like that in retrospectively, right, with the information that you have, with the later movies, you're kind of Doc Brown, Marty McFly coming back in time and informing, his father being hey, stop, here's some information, right, kind of thing. But yeah, other than that, man, I haven't been doing too much. What about you?
Also settling in because I also just moved house. Just down the road from my last place, but so my place kind of looks the same as it did before. But yeah, some advice for you guys: do not move while you're sick. It sucks.
Just clarifying, you were homeless before this, right? So you moved into a home now?
Oh yeah, I was living under a bridge for a while. It was pretty good. There was a homeless man that would occasionally try and fight me for my breadcrumbs, but you know me, I got my jiu-jitsu moves. No one can really fuck with me in that way. Yeah, man. But yeah, look, I've been chilling. I think last episode I talked about how I was canceling Amazon Prime. The day that expired, I renewed it because right before I canceled, I realized the Harley Quinn show was on there, and I always want to check that out. I binged it in 2 days. I thought I had some really good writing in that show. It was pretty funny. And then I was like, well, fuck it. While I'm here, I guess I'll try Invincible. not realizing it comes out week by week. And I'll be honest, it didn't hook me straight away. I still feel, even now, I feel like it's kind of like a poor man's The Boys, but I still really like it. It's got really good characters, and I can't stress this enough. I love the voice acting of Invincible. Like, the cast is just so many actors I fucking love, dude. So it's managed to keep me in there. I just don't know how they can make it last more than a few seasons with its premise, but we'll see. Like, Robert Kirkman's a pretty clever guy. I'm sure he comes up with something. But at first, that show, I was struggling because I don't think I've ever seen an animated drama before. Like, I love animated comedies, adult comedies, but it felt weird to me at first. It was kind of like, why isn't this live action? This should just be live action. But I think I'm 5 episodes in now, and it's grown on me. Especially, I feel like the animation has gotten better after the first couple episodes, especially when they do like these huge, big action scenes. It's actually pretty impressive. And I really done a 360. Like, at first, I wasn't impressed by the animation, and then I think a couple episodes later, I was like, "Fuck, it's actually pretty good." So yeah, I'm a fan of the show. I'd like The Boys better though. But yeah, man.
I don't think they're in like like they're not in the Thunderdome battling each other, right? Like, they've got similar premises.
How deep are you in?
1 episode.
You're gonna see more comparisons coming up, I think.
Oh, okay.
Like, it's from a completely different perspective from The Boys, which is why I feel like it's allowed to exist, I guess. So like, it has its enough differences, but like, I think the thing that annoys me the most is they're both basically parroting or doing satire, talking about Justice League. Yeah, there's so many similar characters. Like, they both got their own Aquamans and their Batmans. It's kind of like, yeah. But what I like with The Boys, with this show, The Boys doesn't do as much is when they step outside of that box. When they do, like, sometimes they'll introduce a new character, and I don't really have a frame of reference for. And when that happens, I get particularly interested. And I'm hoping as the show goes on, they do more of that, because that's what I'm here for, I think. I want like new shit rather than, yeah. But it's a good show, man. And I've just been playing a shit ton of video games. Just finished Final Fantasy VII Remake. That game is really cool. Yeah. But dude, fuck this shit. Let's get into movies. Should we talk about movies? That's what we're here for. Who gives a fuck about my life?
I personally enjoy talking to you, but okay.
Nah. Fuck you. Let's talk about Marvel.
All right. Let's talk about movies.
Actually, yeah, fuck it. Let's not plug shit. Let's just go straight into it. I said let's talk about Marvel.
No, look, let's before we do move on. Yeah, we won't plug shit. But if you do want to find our socials, just scroll down, check the show notes. That's the best way and the most succinct way to get past our social media sort of like rant that we have at the start of every episode. So, yeah, just check the show notes.
I don't want to talk about Marvel now. I changed my mind. Now let's do it. This morning we got the long-awaited trailer for Shang-Chi. I was actually thinking the other week, like, how weird is it that we hadn't gotten a trailer yet, because we've seen so much for Eternals, but nothing for this. And then it finally happened.
What have we seen for Eternals?
Actually, no, we haven't got a trailer, but we've seen so much leak shit has come out from Eternals, like pictures and photos. So maybe that's not Marvel's fault. Maybe it's just nerds being nerds. But I feel like I've seen a million leaked, like, here's a picture from a calendar, or here's a picture from, here's some concept art, or an action figure. I feel like I've seen so much from Eternals, and very little on Shang-Chi.
You gotta stay off the goddamn internet.
Oh man, it's bad. I saw 5 seconds of leaked footage of Mortal Kombat the other day, and
why? Why do you? It was an accident. Yourself? You're a fucking moron.
I didn't know.
You're a fucking moron.
It was. Look,
you go looking for this shit. I know you do.
Look, I do sometimes, but this time it wasn't my fault. But it made me more excited. It seems good. It was a good 5 seconds. But yeah, back to this.
I know. It's super tantalizing. I know. It's like, it takes a lot for me to not click on those, right? Like, if they pop up, I'm just like, I really want to, but I'm not going to.
I gotta admit, it's been really bad for Mortal Kombat, because, me, I'm not the best at the games. I really love the characters and the lore. And so the fact that, like, they're doing it right, or it looks like they might be doing it right, It's really hard not to click on those things. I'm the same with The Matrix. I looked at so much fucking shit for that. But nothing about Shang-Chi because I don't know much about Shang-Chi as a character. What are your thoughts on this trailer, man? What are your impressions? What are your vibes? How are we feeling about it?
I like it, man. I do. I really like it. I think it's like this is the first kind of like big next step for Marvel, right? I mean, like, kicking off Phase 4, because don't forget, I was watching Spider-Man Far From Home the other day, and I was like, man, that is the last Marvel movie we watched at the movies. Like,
Yeah.
that is insane to think about, like, because it feels so long ago. Um, so, and yes, we've had WandaVision, we've had Falcon and the Winter Soldiers since then, but this is the first kind of like, next stage of Phase 4. And yes, you can argue that Black Widow is the first movie in Phase 4, but we know who this character is. We know a lot about her already. Also, we think, right? Like, I mean, like, we've
Yeah.
given, we've seen Black Widow before, but this is the first next big character in the MCU that's going to kick off the Phase 4. So, I enjoyed the trailer. I really did. I think for me though, it was like I had no sort of like you said for Invincible. I had no frame of reference, so I have no idea who this character is. I have no idea. Probably the most importantly, I have no idea what his power set is. Right. So like when you see the trailers for like Doctor Strange or like Guardians of the Galaxy, the first thing they introduce you to, especially in the case of like Doctor Strange, is his power set. So why he's as unique as he is, or why he deserves his own movie. In this though, he's good at fighting. I mean, yeah. Is
So
that his, like,
it's
what's his? What do you
I
know?
love that you brought this up. I love that you brought this up because, from my understanding, Marvel kind of don't know either. Like, throughout the history of Shang-Chi, I think when he first came out, the idea was he's just Bruce Lee. He's just a really good fighter. But then later on in the comics, they were like, we got to give him some sort of power. So they gave him, like that ninja trope where like they move so fast, it's like they make duplicates of themselves. There are some
Yeah.
versions of the comics where he can make multiple of himself. And then I don't know if I'm right about this. Maybe I'm making it up, but I feel like he's also got a similar power to Iron Fist. Like he can do like a special punch or something. So it's always been very
Wow,
vague.
devastating.
Yeah, but it's always been very vague. But the main thing is he's like the best at martial arts. That's kind of like his thing. So,
Okay,
but you
I mean,
look at this trailer and it looks more fantastical. So it doesn't look like typical.
Yes, it does.
Martial arts.
It does. It does look fantastical, and I think that's the big drawing point for me for this movie so far is everything but Shang-Chi. Like, I'm excited to see everyone else but Shang-Chi at the moment, and like, that mostly includes his father, the Mandarin, right? I mean, like that's the for me that's the big drawing element, and I'm not going to, raise one to lower the other or vice versa or anything like that. I personally like the take that they did in Iron Man 3. I thought that really worked for what they were going for. Granted, they didn't need to put the Mandarin character in that movie to have that outcome or tell that story about, the face of terrorists in media versus like who's actually behind things. They didn't need that to be the Mandarin. But I think, like for me, it still worked because I don't have that comic book, background, right? I mean, and Marvel know that the majority of the audience who watches these movies don't have that, comic book background. So, like I think it's fine. I think I'm excited to see what they do with this, like with the father son dynamic in this particular movie. I think that's the big draw for this movie. Like that's a big theme, fathers and sons. I don't know in terms of like repetition or like in terms of like, whether it's redundant now, how the whole, oh, I'm your father, you're my son, you're supposed to follow in my footsteps is going to work because we've seen the rejection of that before. We've seen Tony Stark kind of reject his father's, company and values before. So, I don't know how much of that is going to be made redundant already, like how much is going to be already covered, and I know that they're very different characters, But again, it's very, it's very father and son, and Iron Man didn't focus on that, and this supposedly is the focus of this. But like, do you see what I'm getting at? Like,
I
it
look. You could
seems like they've
also
covered this ground a little bit.
you could say there's a similar thing with Loki and Odin as
Odin,
well.
yes, correct, yeah.
Look, family like
Well,
the family.
dude,
Yeah.
you just turned into Vin Diesel just now.
What do you mean?
The
Oh,
way
family.
you said family just now.
You got me there. Oh, fuck. I always love a good Vin Diesel reference. But yeah, the idea of like
he might make an appearance in the later segment in this episode. Actually.
Oh God, we're not ready. We are not ready, ladies and gentlemen.
The ground is shaking currently, so I think he's nearby.
He must be. He must be. Yeah. Look, the whole idea of like son versus dad or whatever. It's a very classic sort of storytelling premise, right? Like, the best one of all, probably Star Wars. But I think that it has come up a lot in the MCU. The vibe I'm getting, and I could be completely wrong, but I'm guessing like the father and son will fight in this. I think that's gonna be the central thing. But thematically, like, let's just hope they don't drag it out over 3 movies in a premise. Maybe hopefully it only happens in the one film. Do you have any other thoughts on this trailer before I jump into mine?
No, sorry, my thoughts were so long-winded, but please go.
Well, look, I think it's really, really exciting every time Marvel introduces a new character, especially in a solo film. Like Doctor Strange, I think is still my favorite origin story, maybe besides Iron Man. That film was really exciting leading up to it. It was really exciting leading up to Captain Marvel. While the movie didn't blow me away, I remember the hype for it was really there. Ant-Man 2, because we were like, oh, Edgar Wright worked on it, what's his? But this film, like, I forgot how exciting that is to see a new face for the first time. And I think that's really exciting. Honestly, the standout for me in this trailer is the music. I love that riff that's going on. I think it's really, really fun. Something that stood out to me is the actor who plays Shang-Chi. I can't remember his name, but I've seen him do interviews. Simu, right? Thanks. You're so good at names, dude. I've seen him do interviews and stuff.
We balance each other out so well.
We do. You fill my holes. Well, that did not come out right, or did it? Let's see.
Hold on, Vin just got in just in time for that line. Hey, Vin. How you doing?
No family. We don't talk about filling holes in family, okay? Vin, stay away. Stay away.
We're not in Alabama, for God's sakes. Sorry.
What I noticed with him in interviews and stuff is he is naturally a very charismatic guy. Like, I can see him leading a Marvel franchise. But when I see this trailer, I feel like a lot of that, like, I know it's very little and it's more of a teaser than a trailer, but I feel like that charisma, I'm not seeing it. Like, he's being really serious and dark, and I feel like when I've seen him, he's always got this big smile on his face. And I'm sure, it's a Marvel movie. They're going to have their comedic moments. They got Aquafina is getting a paycheck for a reason. I'm sure it's going to come through, but I'm not getting that vibe here. It's like they're really going a bit of a serious route, which is totally fine. It's just that really stood out to me. Look, I think it's really cool how many, like, I think we get a variety of different action set pieces that are all like they're paying homage to some sort of like Hong Kong martial arts sort of stuff. Like we've got one, it's like a fantastical some like Chinese battle or something. We got one where it's kind of like we got the one on the bus with old mate Florian from Creed 2. We got another one which just looks straight up looks like a scene ripped out of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. I think that's really cool. I feel like the director or the writers here, they've really taken a lot of influence from a lot of really exciting sources. And I'm really excited to see how it plays out. This bus scene looks so fun. I can't wait to see the whole scene there. But something I just want to address as well is something I sort of mentioned in the after party. I feel like what I'm noticing a pattern with a lot of these Marvel trailers and big blockbuster ones is the first look, like, it's all about just showing you the theme of what's going on. Just the vibe. It feels like a glorified sizzle reel. Something I noticed is in the poster, he's wearing this superhero outfit. He's not wearing it here. So I'm guessing maybe it's in the third act, but what I'm really hoping is the second trailer shows that off. And I'm really curious to how this will tie into the MCU. Like, I'm sure we're going to get some cameo or some whatever. I'm curious to know what that is. But overall, man, I'm really excited for this
Where
project.
is he? What city is he in? Where is he?
I think I saw somewhere, and I could be wrong, but I think someone said New York or something, which is like, okay, so is he neighbors with Doctor Strange and Spider-Man? Like, that sounds like a lot. But I'd imagine a lot of this film takes place in either China or some sort of like Wakandan sort of version of like a Chinese fictional place or something. Like, a lot of it does look a bit fantastical, so it makes me feel like it might not be on typical Earth.
I'm pretty sure it's been confirmed that this takes... I know when it takes place within the 5-year period. So this is post-snap, but before Hulk brought him back. So
this is why the superheroes aren't around.
Yes, correct. So, and like, you know, that is an excuse that Marvel can... They can, you know, take that to the bank. Like, they can fucking, milk that shit dry. But,
whoever thought of that idea got a pay rise, I'm sure. It's like, oh good. 100%. We can make origin stories again. Thank God.
Something that I wanted to mention, actually, and it was just an exchange in the after party that I thought was really interesting. So Michael Grizzard said, "This movie is a perfect example of why I have fatigue with MCU flicks. Is there really that big of a market for this kind of movie from them? There are dozens of superheroes who people would go nuts over. This just sucks, lol." Now, look,
huge disagreement from me, I gotta say.
I think I do have to disagree as well. I think there's definitely a market for this. And you know, Carlos goes on to say that, you know, these are things that people said about Guardians of the Galaxy. I think Guardians of the Galaxy was way more of a bigger gamble than this, right? I mean, like, I think, you know, there is a culture backing of this as well, don't forget, right? I mean, like, how often does a young Asian child get to see themselves represented on screen, right? Well, I mean, like, it's not...
That's the big thing. Like, after both the success of Black Panther and Crazy Rich Asians, this film got fast-tracked. Like, this film was in the pipeline, I think, but we weren't going to see this for like 10 years. Like, they really fast-tracked this after the success of those. And I'd imagine the whole, like, big focus on the Chinese market with Hollywood, like, they're probably tailor-making this movie for that as well. Like, Disney loves it. Like, they just did that with, like, Mulan and was Raya? I never saw Raya. Was that based in China? It was based in...
I don't know, dude.
I just know there's a dragon attached. But either way, Disney loves that market.
You fucking really racist. You assuming bastard.
No. Disney, like in the last 10 years
I know
or
what
so,
you're saying.
China has allowed more foreign movies, blah, blah,
I'm being an idiot. But anyway, so look, I just wanted to quickly just read Carlos's response to Michael, because his response is amazing. I know Carlos personally; he is of Asian heritage. He says, "Dude, it's about representation. An Asian cast and perspective is what will hopefully separate it amongst the other Marvel martial arts style movies. Martial arts is often linked to Asian culture, and seeing everyone else so combat capable has had us asking, will we ever see someone like us? Even though we started / pioneered that whole movement / genre. This is a massive step for us. If you don't understand that, that's cool, man. Hopefully this post can help. But this is really important to literally billions of people during these Asian hate times. If you have MCU fatigue, it's probably because they're pretty much all straight white male stories with similar experiences and outcomes. We deserve an MCU that properly reflects all of our backgrounds, cultures, and stories." That is incredibly well said, Carlos. And,
that is beautiful.
It made me think, when am I going to see a Fijian hero? Come on, let's get him up there, man. Let's get him up in there.
Bro, I recently Googled Maltese superheroes. I can't find a single one. Marvel have never made a Maltese hero. Not even a fucking X-Men. There are Australian ones.
Malta on the map? Because I haven't. It's that small.
It's on the world
but
map.
You guys are everywhere.
Malta.
There's crazy.
There's more Maltese people outside the country than in. The word Malta is bigger than our country in the world map. It's fucked. But I don't know. I don't know of any Fijian ones. I'm sure there's got to be at least one. I'm sure there's an X-Men or something.
Look, the Rock is American Samoan or Samoan, as you know, as you're supposed to pronounce it. And he kind of like, I know he's like not Fijian, but it's all like Polynesian, so he's just like, I'm gonna take it all. Like, he's just like that
Close
whole
enough.
thing. Yeah, close enough. So you know what? We'll take Black Adam. Thank you.
Yeah.
We'll take Black Adam. That's fine.
Sure. Why not? Look, I think I just want to say, just for Michael's sake, I have a feeling he did not mean it in the racial context. I think he just
No.
I think he just meant more for Marvel for Tate. Yeah, I just want to say that to because I got his back. He's the homie. But I think I do understand Marvel fatigue. I do understand it, but I haven't seen a new Marvel movie in so long. And to be honest, looking at this trailer, and this is I think my biggest takeaway really. Looking at this trailer after watching almost 2 full Marvel shows, when I was first watching the shows, I'm like, oh, it's just like the movies. Look at this trailer, like, oh, fuck, they're not like the movies. Like, their scale is not the same. And I miss that spectacle. Like, Godzilla vs. Kong wasn't a great movie, but I can't remember the last time I sat in a theater and saw a movie with that much spectacle of scale, And seeing Mortal Kombat next week has got me really excited. And knowing that we've got Black Widow around the corner too, I'm excited again. I think it's on Thursday. Sorry, this week. Fuck. This week,
Even tomorrow, there's advanced screenings. So, there you go.
I know, I can't go. I'm playing a fucking comedy show. Maybe I could go after.
Damn. Yeah, dreams, huh?
Yeah.
They'll do that to you.
It sucks. But let's move on. Look, we mentioned Marvel. We mentioned Falcon and Winter Soldier. Should we jump into this one?
Yeah, let's jump into this. We have kind of like left this a bit long because we're literally going to cover literally half the show in this next few minutes. So, we're not going to take it episode by episode. We're just going to go talk about the big sort of talking points. But I think, at the
what
time
are the big talking points? How should we do this? I'm not sure.
It's all right. It's all right. Look, I'm more than happy to lead this segment.
Lead this part for me, yeah.
Yeah, awesome. So look, I think it's important to mention that at the time of this recording, the finale has not yet aired. So we've watched 5 episodes of Falcon and the Winter Soldier so far, and the last episode is due to air in a few days. So we don't know what the outcome of all of this is, but I think the show is shaping up to be incredibly interesting. It's delving into things that nobody really expected it to delve into. And I'm not sure if we mentioned this on the last episode of the upcoming attractions, but given the advertisements and given the ads and how they sold this show, everyone was expecting a surface level kind of like, big bombastic Marvel TV show. And that's, while you do get that, that's not exactly what it is. And I'm going to mostly talk about episode 5, which is the latest one. Episode 5 is my favorite episode of the show so far. And that episode, yeah, oh, good. I'm glad, because that episode is, it's not getting destroyed on the internet or anything like that, but I am seeing a little sort of like divisiveness. Because granted, it doesn't have the big action spectacle that, or like, giant fight scenes that the previous episodes do. While it does kick off with a bang, because, the episode preceding that ended with a pretty big cliffhanger, I think this episode, the 5th one, really kind of like hammers home and really ends up growing and strengthening all of the main characters. So between Bucky and Sam, especially, you get 2 scenes of just like absolute growth. The scene where they're throwing around the shield and they're talking to each other and they're apologizing, and Bucky says, "Man, I was totally taken off guard, like caught off guard by how he says, I'm sorry, I didn't understand what this would have what Steve giving the shield to a black man would have felt like." Like I was like, holy shit, dude, that is awesome. That is incredibly direct and incredibly surprising to come from a TV show made by Disney. So I was really, really, really happy with that. Sorry, Matt, I know you want to talk. Just bear with me here. Actually, you know what? If you want to talk about that scene, talk about it. Yeah, go for it, please.
In general, like I wanted way more of that throughout the show. Carlos did we bring him up so much. It's like he's a member of the podcast now. But he did a post the other week. Yeah, he did a post in the after party the other week. By the way, guys, if you're unaware, the after party is a Facebook group of ours. feel free to join it if you're not already. You can be part of the fun. But he raised up a really interesting. He raised up a bunch of points. A lot of them actually I disagreed with, but the one that really stood out to me, and I'm glad he said it because I didn't know how to word it or what my problem with the show is, but was until then. It's just like the show a lot of the time doesn't feel like it's about Falcon the Winter Soldier, especially that middle section. There's so much focus on Zemo and so much focus on, they're bringing the Wakandans now and all this other stuff. And a lot of the time, the flags, so they have so much screen time. And a lot of the time, and most of all, Johnny, US agent, Captain America, whatever the fuck you want to call him. Like,
I want to talk about him a bit later. We will.
And look, Zemo and him are interesting characters, but like, I signed up for Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and when I off the base of the premise that Cap gave him the shield at the end of Endgame, I want to see that explored, and I feel like we got a little bit of that in episode 2, we got a lot of that in episode 5, but I wanted more of that, and I thought the show would actually be way more into the details and idea of like what it's like to be, a black man in like the front lights in America, So when I brought in Isaiah, I was like, fuck yeah, like these are the themes I think this is great for it to touch on. And it just feels like all this other stuff, like it's not showing what I'm here for. And I like the idea that like Captain America, and now they're showing like, this is another way of looking at patriotism and stuff. And I think the flag smashers have been underutilized, but most of all, like when it comes to like that line where he goes, I had no idea what it's like for that shield to be given to a black man in America. I was like, that's what I wanted in episode 2. I wanted the whole show to be like this because that's way more interesting to me because I want to learn more about these characters. They never got a solo movie. I want to see them with their own, like, in the spotlight more. Sorry, I didn't mean to go on for that long, but yeah,
no, that's okay.
I love that stuff though.
That's okay. I agree. Because the show is wildly unfocused. It is, like you're fitting in a lot of things in these 6 episodes that could easily have been 2 seasons, I think.
Probably.
And, so let's talk about episode 3. So episode 3 is the one where they go to Mandripore. This is the one where Zemo's, front and center, where he's escaped. Yeah. So you're doing the dance. I love that Marvel released a 1-hour video officially of him just dancing. Like it's
released
just,
the
obviously it loops and stuff, but holy shit, is Daniel Bruhl amazing in this role? Like he's just, I fucking love him, and he deserves an Oscar for Inglourious Bastards and Rush. I don't give a shit what you say, but like he's so good as Zemo. He's just so manipulating, and you don't know which way he's going to go, and I really enjoyed the episode where they go to Mandripore. I think it's my least favorite episode of the entire series, though.
Is that the one that focuses heavily on Sharon Carter?
Yes, so that's the one. So this is the one where you get to the docks at the end.
Yeah.
And they're fighting in the containers. Look, I think it's fine. I think it's good. It's a good episode. It's just it feels a little rushed. There's a lot happening in that episode. Interestingly, that episode and the one after, titled The Whole World Is Watching, those 2 are written by Derek Kolstad, who wrote the John Wick movies, which is really interesting, and who also wrote Nobody. But yeah, so that episode ends with the Dora Milaje showing up and confronting Bucky because them releasing Zemo, and I know that's a problem for some people. But I fucking loved it. It makes perfect sense for me. Like,
why would it be a problem? I don't think
we talked about this in the after party. We talked about this in the after party because the Dora Milaje is supposed to protect the king.
Right, yeah. Because I remember someone saying like they're not James Bond, they shouldn't be traveling. But I'm like, I don't know. In Black Panther, that's the vibe I got. Like they will go anywhere they have to go. They don't care about restrictions or anything as long as it's for the good of Wakanda.
Right? So, like Dora Milaje, like they're supposed to protect the king, but I also think that they deal with all royal matters, and the fact that this is the guy that killed the original king, I think it's not that big of a leap.
Yeah. I'm with it. I'm with it. That never seemed weird to me. So when people were like calling that out, I was like, Really? Like, it seems
Yeah.
very logical. Like, when it happened, I wasn't like, what the fuck? I was like, oh, of course. Why didn't I expect this? This is awesome. Actually, I thought it was a really good way to tie into it
But
too.
that ends that ends up having this them having this giant kind of like fight because like Walker walks in walks in and you know him and Aya go at it, and this makes Walker feel you know like like his dick's not working right, like
Yeah,
he's feeling a little you know not up to the task. So he's like, God damn it, I wish I had powers, kind of thing. And lo and behold, you know, he takes a serum, right? Just
yeah.
after Zemo supposedly, well, so he thinks, has crushed all of the vials, which is very much in character for Zemo.
And who would have seen that coming? The fake Captain America without the super soldier serum fighting the bad guys with super soldier serum takes the super soldier serum and he becomes bad. Never saw that coming.
Here's the thing, though.
Oh no.
Here's the thing, though. I'm feeling somewhat sympathetic for Walker now. I think Wyatt Russell, especially in his last episode, episode 5, is really, really knocking out of the park in terms of his acting. Like he's just, you know, he can feel his frustration.
It, yeah.
You can feel his frustration because, like, I don't think, and like, look, I'm not sure. I can't really remember. But was he chosen for this job or did he volunteer? Because if he was chosen, that changes it entirely. If he was chosen and he's not up to the task, he's been given an impossible task. He's been given the task to step into, you know, Steve Rogers' shoes without the powers and, you know, represent the United States, which is currently a divided country, which is what the themes of what this entire show is. So
they never outright, I think, say it, but I think it's heavily implied that he was selected. I'm sure he had the option to say no, but actually in episode, I think 2, at the beginning of episode 2, it really took me by surprise that he wasn't powered. Because I remember thinking, like, what's the fucking point of having a Captain America if he doesn't have any fucking powers? And
there's a lot of power in the shield, in the symbol of the shield.
But why has he got his own special team to take people out? Like, he should just be a fucking mascot, like doing press conferences and shit. So they really set him up to fail, and obviously he feels that. He's incredibly well written. Like, shout outs to the writers, because even he does like some fucking dumb shit a lot. Like, I kind of get it. Like, every time he does, like, he, you know, fucks up the talk between Carly and Falcon with the flag smashes, and he just goes in all brute force because he's frustrated. I get it. When he kills that dude for killing Lamar, I get it. Like, I'm looking at him like, you fucking idiot. It's just so dumb. But at the same time, his emotional state totally tracks. And I think that's a sign of actually good writing.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree. And like I said, I think this last episode is the strongest so far because it really gives us time with these characters. You know, it's this show is less about plot and more about characters, and I'm on board with that. I think WandaVision did the plot / characters balance a little bit better. Because we were invested in both, whereas here I'm a little bit more invested in the characters than I am in the plot. The other scene that I want to talk about is the scene with Isaiah and Sam in this particular episode, the latest one, because that was intense, and that was dealing with things that, again, I had no idea that Disney / Marvel would have the balls to deal with. But man, lo and behold, they fucking knocked it out of the park because, you know, I can't see Sam becoming Captain America by the end of this show. And I think that was a big consideration going into this series, right? Like, oh, okay, so this is Sam. So this show is all about Sam eventually going to become Captain America. But now, after being told by Isaiah and, you know, being told by someone who has been wronged by the United States government and everything that the shield represents, and being wronged by everything that the shield represents, like, I can't see him becoming Captain America and donning that kind of like symbol.
Well, let's ignore leaks for starters.
I'm not. I just.
But
dude,
what I will
fuck
say,
out of here.
No. I'm ignoring that. I'm saying I think you forgot a key thing from Falcon's perspective is that, yeah, he heard all the fucked up shit, And he's like, yeah, America, that's what represents America to you. But then afterwards, I remember he had a conversation with, I think it was the conversation he had with Bucky where he's like, I didn't realize about having the shield. Like when he starts training with the shield, he does say something on the lines of like, and I can't remember the exact quote, but he says something on the lines of, that's how it represented for you then, but that's not how it has to be now, or something like that. And so he's like, this could mean something different now, and it could be a way to make inspire future generations and stuff. I think that's what they're going for, and I think by at the end, like you see him when the wings are fucked up, he leaves them behind with that tech dude who I'm told in the comics his name was once also a Falcon. I don't think Marvel will go that route. Like, it'd be weird having two Falcons, I think.
Not yet. I mean, season 2 is a thing. This show is not as closed-ended as WandaVision is.
I don't know, but I haven't heard anything about that. But it would make sense because Wanda and Vision, they like were placed in a weird, awkward spot story-wise. Falcon and Winter Soldier, it's a blue sky, I think. I would love to see a season 2. I'd love it to be longer as well. I just feel like it feels like it just started last week.
It does.
Yeah, but like, look, regardless of what they do with Falcon, like I don't exactly know how the show's going to end and how he's going to lead into other movies. But I feel like he could be Falcon. He could be Captain America. He could even be a mix of both. I don't know if there's a such thing as a Falcon with the shield and the wings, but I would be fucking down to see that if that's a thing. Yeah. I will say one thing about the show in general. The thing I'm really happy about with this show is how heavily it ties into the movies. Like, WandaVision did a little bit of that. Like, we got a little bit of Ant-Man, we got a character from Ant-Man, we got a character from Thor. But it feels like almost every episode we get something new, and it's really exciting. Like, so far, obviously, at the time of Black Panther, it's always been tied into Winter Soldier and Civil War. But like, remember the first episode, we got War Machine for a scene. That was kind of cool. And Batroc. And he's coming back. He was in the last episode. It looks like he's going to be in the finale. Like, that's really exciting for me.
Yeah, and Georges St. Pierre showing up for this is really interesting to me because he is a retired UFC fighter and he's a fucking legend.
Yeah. Well, I always thought like his fights with Cap is one of my favorite fights, I think, you know, like low end sort of fights in the MCU. And I think he's an interesting character to bring back just physically. Like, he's a guy who fought Captain America fighting his sidekicks now. I think that's a cool dynamic. And we got to talk about it. And I'm going to butcher a name because that's what I do. I butcher names.
Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Yes. Elaine herself, the Veep lady who I'm told in the comics plays Madam Hydra and had a romantic relationship with Nick Fury. Those are some really interesting topics that could be explored in the future. I don't know if they ever will, but apparently she was supposed to be in Black Widow. Like, this is meant to be a huge oh shit moment because we were meant to have seen her in Black Widow by now. It makes you wonder. It makes me wonder, Vision, if this episode was meant to release maybe the same week or shortly after Black Widow, because one of the coolest moments in the MCU for me that no one ever remembers and talks about is the week Winter Soldier came out where S.H.I.E.L.D. got destroyed. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. had a tie-in episode that featured Sam Jackson where S.H.I.E.L.D. got dismantled, and it was just a Winter Soldier movie from another perspective. So shit was happening at the same time. And that was like the one cool thing about that show that no one remembers.
Well, we were supposed to get Black Widow in April of 2020 and Falcon and the Winter Soldier in, I want to say, October of 2020. So there was going to be like a 6-month gap or something. And obviously Falcon and the Winter Soldier was supposed to be the first Disney Plus TV show. So
yeah, I think like it's interesting how COVID messed up, but it just makes you wonder like what the fuck is she gonna do in Black Widow? Like, it seems to be, from my understanding, like maybe she's like an evil Nick Fury trying to build her own like Legion of Doom or some shit. I don't know. Maybe not. There are a lot of speculation theories on the internet, but either way, like I was having a conversation with a friend the other day and I said, look, whatever they do with her character, you don't hire Elaine from Seinfeld for one scene and maybe a cameo. No, you hire an actor for that, for a massive role. Otherwise, just get a no-named actor that's going to do it for like a third of the price, maybe even 10% of the price, you know? She's not a cheap actor to get. So actors like that, you get them in contract deals where they do maybe 5 movies or 3 movies or X amount of episodes.
Also, she needs a new name. I mean, Valentina Allegra de Fontaine is such a mouthful.
Yeah, it is. And I think it reminds me of in Avengers where Clark Gregg just kept going like, oh, you know, with his strategic homeland intervention, blah, blah, blah. At the end, he's like, we're S.H.I.E.L.D. Sorry, yeah, Iron Man. And at the end, he's like, you know what, just call us S.H.I.E.L.D. I feel like they're going to do something with that with her. She goes, nah, just call me, I don't know, Hydra Lady or bad guy person. Or
yeah, call me Hydra Lady, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Hydra Lady, that's actually a good name. Good superior name. Look, I will also say there's a lot of talk about the one weird thing I will say, going back to the Dora Milaje, it is a bit weird that they let her go to the raft instead of like a Wakanda jail or something. But it just makes me think maybe they're setting up Zemo for some future plot line.
Who manages the raft? Like, I mean, the raft is managed by... Because from memory, it's Thunderbolt Ross, who is part of the UN. So I think it's a UN... it's a UN holding facility, right? So it makes sense that the Dora Milaje will take him there because it's UN.
I guess so. Like, it probably... Actually, I guess it makes sense. Either way, it sounds like there's some stuff going on because I know other villains are in the raft at the moment. I think, can't remember what they did with Ghost in Ant-Man and the Wasp, but either way, I'm down for it.
She's on the run. She never got arrested.
Oh, right. Okay, that's right. My bad. By the way, Zemo, a lot of people fall in love with him. These shows have done a great job at making side characters like really lovable. Like, everybody loves Jimmy Woo now.
Oh, okay. Actually, just very, very briefly, this is something that I kind of wanted to talk about. There was an exchange in the after party. I can't remember who it was, but someone was complaining about like villains like Loki and Zemo becoming likable or memeable. And I think the direct quote from the post was something, when in reality they're murders. And I'm just like, when in reality, this is fiction, right? I mean, like, this is...
I remember the post, and I think the original point, and I think they may have gone away, and I kind of understand the original point, which is like, in the comics, Zemo is a straight up Nazi person. Like, he is like... And in this, I think they've changed it a little bit. He's a big fan of Hydra, more specifically, not for their ideals, but more so their technology and stuff. So they've worked really hard.
Right,
to
no,
make
he
Zemo
hates
like
Hydra in this.
Right, but he likes their fucking. Oh no, he just knows a lot about him. He knows a lot about. He's researched them a lot. Sorry, he's not a fan, but like he's like a Hydra expert. Like he could fucking write a PhD on them or some shit.
No, but also like I mean like he's understandable and sympathetic because he lost his entire family in fucking Sokovia. So, like, you know, these people aren't just... You can't just paint them as murderers, not when you're getting kind of, like, backstory, not when you're kind of, like, getting understandable backstories like that.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it's easy to pigeonhole a villain like that. And I get it. Like, I get, you know, the comics were all, you know, mostly two-dimensional. Like, not... I don't want to put down an entire medium, but, like, you know, the comics were, this guy's a bad guy, this guy's a good guy, plain as day kind of thing. I don't think the shows are going for that. That's not film. Like, that's not TV.
Yeah, well, look, I think it's undeniable the old, like, comics where most of these characters come from, like, the 70s and shit. Not a lot of depth. I think as the medium has evolved, the characters have too. Like, even Flag Smasher as a character, that he was one person, and apparently he's appeared less than 30 times in the comics. He's very... very bottom of the barrel scrape, you know. But what I will say is you got to remember, man, like the heroes are murderers too. Captain America used a gun in the first movie and the first Avengers movie. He shot people and they're dead. He was a soldier in the army. Captain America, Iron Man, think of the first Iron Man movie. He blasted people in the face with like jet engines built into his hand. Portable jet engines. Like people are like their skin's melting off in reality, man. The Hulk literally every time he picks someone up and slams them on the floor, they are paralyzed for life, if not dead immediately. They are all a bunch of murderers.
Like, not to mention Stark's pre kind of like, coming to the light, like, hey, let's sell weapons to every person on the planet.
Yeah,
right?
nuclear weapons and shit. On. He sold shit to Al Qaeda, ISIS, the works, man. Like, yeah, man. Look, something I will say though about the Avengers in general, and I've really noticed this while playing the video game. This is
the last point, by the way. We're gonna move on.
Yeah. I don't like the idea of treating the Avengers like a military unit. It's kind of like how I like with Civil War. They moved away from that a little bit. Like even seeing Falcon and Bucky work with the government. I know it's more realistic, but it takes away a bit of the fun for me. I like it when
did they do that?
Like with Civil War, like the whole point was like they should work for the government. Oh, well, I think they're very vague about it, but like Falcon is clearly working with the Air Force, correct? Like how are they getting access to like these airplanes that they're parachuting out of? Who's this tech guy? The tech guy works for the Air Force. I know that for sure. But but it's confusing.
I get what you mean.
But at the same
Avengers
time,
still exists, right? So like the Avengers are still a thing.
Well, like, it's super fucking confusing, dude, because like, yeah, they've addressed that they don't get paid, but maybe Tony Stark paid some people or some shit. Like, I don't know how Hulk is alive. Like, he should have starved to death years ago. He doesn't have a house as far as we know. We haven't seen him live anywhere. I know there was the Avengers.
Can you imagine the amount of fucking plumbing issues in his house?
Look, actually, when you think about it, the more you think about Avengers Tower, less makes sense. Like, do they have cleaners? Like, do they have janitors? Like, it can't be Jarvis.
And what is in Avengers Tower? Like, what? Okay, physically, you have a 90-floor building. Yeah. You have a 90-floor building. What is on the other 88 floors? Like, who is working in those offices?
Actually, the more I think about it, the less we know, because the hangar, that was at S.H.I.E.L.D., not there. We've seen the top room where Tony Stark is like, we have a Hulk. And there's like, I think a training room that we've seen the outside of. And then like, but a lot of the times we see shit like Iron Man building his suits. That's actually Tony Stark's house. So I'm guessing...
Also, Avengers Tower doesn't exist anymore. They're at that compound now, which was destroyed actually.
Wait. Which makes me think, because the Avengers Tower was a Stark Tower and all the letters fell off. So people used to work there. So a lot of it would have been offices. But I'm guessing he just fired about 5,000 people when he built the compound, I guess.
I guess. I mean...
And we know Falcon does occasional security checks because that's where he fought Ant-Man, which implies that they can't afford a security guard.
He did have a job. The black man gets to do security detail. Okay. We see you, fucking Iron Man. We can see you.
You know what? Like, this is actually interesting because a lot of people will go like, well, how did Bruce Wayne build the Batcave? He had a lot of like people work there. How did he pay them?
But like, it's such the bullshit. Avengers people get wrapped up in the most, inane bullshit that I immediately just want to just want to take off and nuke the site from orbit. Leave me alone.
It's I guess when you're writing stuff like this, it's very easy to not look into that shit. But like out of all of them, the one that makes the most sense is Ant-Man because he has a house, he has a kid, he has an ex-wife, he has a family. I have no idea what Captain America does on his days off. Where does he sleep? I don't know.
He catches up on his notebook, man.
Oh, that's right. Look, I think we should move on though. Although I am really enjoying that. Maybe that's enough to, maybe that's a bonus episode one day. We can do a deep dive and see how, I don't know, Hawkeye pays the bills or some shit. But let's move on, guys. Let's smash through a couple quick ones because I think we took a bit too long on there. Fast 9. We kind of already saw a trailer for that, but we've got a new one after a year of waiting. Has this tickled your fancy in any other way or anything?
Yeah, it still looks like the greatest comedy ever made. It still looks it looks fucking bonkers. I threw on the 7th one the other day, the one that James Wan did. That was Paul Walker's last one. And I still found myself having a great time. Like, I was just like, man, like this. I do miss movies like this, like where they're just straight up stupid and they know they are, but they are unapologetically fun.
Yeah.
And this the trailer for this was really exciting, because they are the Avengers. Like
Yeah. The
it's
car Avengers.
yeah, there's a lot happening in this trailer. Like a lot. And the trailer is loud and it is bombastic, and there's rap music and hip hop and what have you and electronic, and I'm just like, all my senses are being overloaded, my eyes are glazing over. I guess we're doing this. We're going to the movies. But no, it looks good. It looks exciting. I'll be there. They go to space. Okay, cool. But also Justin Lin was like, let's not take dinosaurs off the table, and I'm just like, what the fuck?
You know what I find
yeah.
interesting with the whole bonkersness of Fast and the Furious is, so with 8, like they did throwing a missile into a submarine. That was probably peak craziness. But the movies, I don't want to say they're grounded, but I can at least understand the reality that they live in. And then when we got Hobbs and Shaw, I think I said this in the podcast when I reviewed it, as I thought I was getting what I wanted, where they just sort of like embraced the fact that they're basically superheroes, make it a comedy. I said that with air quotations. And then I saw it, and I think it's one of my least favorite Fast and Furious movies. Just
bad.
because it's like, it's not that they've moved away from what they are, but it just becomes like they're trying too hard.
Yeah,
it's like they're in on it's like they're in on the joke, and when they're in on the joke, it's not bad. It's like making a bad movie on purpose. Bad movies, like The Room, is amazing because it doesn't know it's a bad movie.
Here's the delineation. Vin Diesel thinks he's making genuinely great movies.
Yes.
And Hobbs and Shaw is missing Vin Diesel to kind of like be like, we're making real movies here. Like that's what it's missing. And it goes too far in the other direction, and it's like, okay, now we're campy, now we're silly. But like the audience gets bored because it's like, oh, great. Now the ugly kid knows that we're laughing at him and he's making jokes too. Now it's not that funny.
Exactly. And what I like about 9 is, sure, it looks like they might go to space, which may or may not have been inspired by some tweets. But overall, the tone looks a lot more in line with something like 7 or even
8 as well. 8 was pretty bonkers.
Yeah. Well, look, I don't like giving a lot of credit to 8 because what really annoys me with 8 is you can...
FKO Gray's just like, fuck you, Mavella.
No, it's not even his fault. It's the fact that clearly you can tell that Dwayne Johnson and Vin Diesel hated each other so much that the writers were forced to find any way possible to keep them separated. And so they only have, I think, 2 or 3 scenes together, and they're on like opposite sides of the room. Clearly they weren't together in the day. And I feel like that really interrupts the flow and fun of that movie, especially since Vin Diesel was put into these scenes where he's trying to prove he can act and crying over his baby maybe dying or whatever. So like that movie, it feels a bit slower. But like 7
writer, singular writer. It's one guy who works on these movies. Chris Morgan.
He's a genius. Honestly, can we get him on the podcast? Imagine if we could get him on the podcast. Holy shit! I feel like that's achievable somehow. Anyways, moving on. But yeah, look, I think it's just like you said. Like this movie to me feels like Vin Diesel's trying to make a good movie, and that makes it more fun to me. And yeah, like when I see something like Return of Xander Cage, like I'm laughing at it because that's probably the fucking most insane shit that a 12-year-old ever wrote. But at least with that, it's like they think it's good. And yeah, I love this too. I think bringing John Cena in, I've said this before, is awesome. I can't wait to find out what bullshit excuse they have to keep Han alive. I know it's going to be fucking terrible. It's going to be something like, I crawled out the last second and for some reason didn't see me, or someone fucking whack.
They went to his funeral because, dude, there's one scene in episode 7, The Force Awakens, when they go to. No, I'm kidding. There's one scene in episode 7 when Vin Diesel goes to Tokyo to challenge the Drift King, right? And he gets hard stuff. And the Drift King from Tokyo Drift talks about the funeral. So they had a funeral and they buried a casket, right? So I'm just like, what?
I wonder if he comes back in this. Maybe he has a cameo. Which, oh, by the way, in 7, he looks like he's aged 20 years from 3. That Drift King dude, yeah. Which is so hilarious to me.
He's got a fucking family. He's got a wife and kids now. He's got a fucking beer belly. Guarantee you, $10. Han is back because he's a fucking clone.
Oh my god,
oh, dude! He is a product of Etienne from Hobbs and Shaw.
And that's how they tie it in. Yeah, probably. Yeah. There's I don't know if there's any found anything any weight to this, but there's speculation online.
It's Fast and Furious, dude. There's no weight to
that.
This.
That the robot voice from Etienne is actually Keanu Reeves, and he will appear in the Hobbs and Shaw sequel.
No, it's John Cena. It's been confirmed by the director.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's John Cena.
What?
Yeah.
Wait, so he's the so is he a cyber whatever fuck? Is he also Black Superman?
No. He's playing 2 different roles, right? I mean, the voice of they cast him as Dom's brother after the fact.
Oh, fuck! Wow. All right, look, let's move on. That movie's going to be incredible. I can't wait. Next on the list, dude, Spiral from the Book of Saw. Saw franchise. I don't think we're on
the same page here.
Yeah, look, I just got to say, in general, the Saw franchise means a lot to me. It used to come out every year, every October. I used to go the first weekend with one of my best mates. And we love the Saw movies. We just love, it's the moment where at the end of each one you hear, dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun, and there's some crazy convoluted, reason that everything comes together. And that's always amazing, even if the movie is terrible. And a lot of them, admittedly, are pretty bad. I was very disappointed with Jigsaw. I think everyone on the planet was. But I am interested to see, this feels like it has a new direction. Which is interesting to me. I don't know if that means it's going to be a good movie though. What are your vibes from this trailer?
Dude, this looks like an unintentional comedy.
Oh no!
It looks like a parody of what Saw is or what someone thought Saw was. Okay, look, the recorded voice sounds like a Down syndrome person. And I don't want to beat on Down syndrome people. I'm sorry, it's the first thing that came to my head. But then it's just Chris Rock, I had a lot of faith in him. I was just man, comedians can often do drama really well. But some of the shots in this trailer and some of his line delivery, how can I catch a guy if there's nobody on the force I can trust? Oh my god, dude.
It's because in our heads, we connect him yelling to comedy, so it's really hard to disconnect from that, isn't it?
Right, but dude, I think that's it. But then, immediately after that, the next line is, "That was just a diversion to get us out of the precinct." Oh my god, you're fucking kidding me! Dude, some of these line deliveries are just, and then Samuel L. Jackson is playing his father, and I'm just is that? What's the age difference there? Maybe, I guess, sure.
Maybe.
But also, I don't know. I'm not excited for this. This trailer made me incredibly less excited, if anything. It's directed by Darren Lynn Bousman, who did Saw 2, and I know he did one of the other sequels, but he definitely did Saw 2. I don't know, man.
3? I don't know.
Jigsaw was just so incredibly terrible to me that I think you can't. I don't think you can go back to this well. I think it's just done and dusted after the last mainline chapter. So
yeah,
I don't know. This is. I don't think I'll be seeing this on day one.
Jigsaw felt like an AI robot took all the other Saw films, put it through an AI generator, and then spat out a generated script based on those. It felt like it felt very inauthentic. Even though that they were able to, they tried to do a big twist with like this flashback. The flashback actually ruined the climax. Like it was the first, I think it's the only time where the twist I think made the movie worse. The reason I'm a bit hyped for this film, besides brand loyalty, it's not because of Chris Rock. It's just the fact that every fucking Saw movie after 2 followed the same formula, and it really frustrated me. It's always someone's trapped in a maze. They gotta get through a bunch of traps to get out. Now this might happen here, but most of the trailer is like a detective story, seeing from another perspective. It's not like the other Saw films. So even if it's fucking shit, this might be the most original one since the first one, or the second one, since the others all followed the same formula. I just really want to say this because I've needed a platform to say this for so long. When Saw 3D was announced and the trailer came out, I was so excited.
That's the last one?
Because, yeah, or the last one, before Jigsaw.
The final
last
chapter?
Proper, yeah, that one. Had Chester from Linkin Park in it. He got killed via... Yeah, he got killed via... I can't even describe... Yeah, like it was. Yeah,
like the.
It's
the
like
tire.
4 people got killed by the same car.
That was awesome,
it was a
actually.
weird. It was cool but weird. It was weird but cool. But what got me really excited with that trailer is when it got announced, a lot of it showed off the first trap, which is a bunch of people in a glass box and everyone could see it. And I was really excited because I'm like, well, what excited me about it is like, okay, it's an evolution of the original concept. Now instead of it being in a private thing, the world could see it. It's a natural step, because Jigsaw, what makes him an interesting killer is that he has a philosophy behind it. He's trying to, in his fucked up mind, change lives and make the world a better place and make people better and make people appreciate life through his own fucked up way. And so this seemed like, oh, now he's like broadcasting his message to the world. This is really great. And then you watch the movie and that goes for 3 minutes and then it just goes back to another generic Saw film where like the maze plotline doesn't even tie into the detective plotline, and I fucking hated it. So I'm just really excited here to see something different for the franchise. That's all I have to say on that.
I'm glad you're excited for it. Because I do want it to be good. The one thing that I will remember before we do move on, always about that last movie, the final chapter, because that's that will forever be the last movie to me. Like Jigsaw doesn't even exist in my mind, but it was always like. Okay, so I had started working at Hoyt's, the cinema chain, and that movie was rated R18, and I think I was 17, and we were never allowed to go in and do like cinema checks or anything like that. We just had to get someone older to do it, and even like during the credits, dude, we couldn't clean the cinema during the credits. We had to wait for the credits to finish.
Oh my God.
And I'm just like, for fuck's sake, man, I just want to do my job, god damn it. And I remember sneaking in once and I remember sneaking in and just like sitting down in one of the chairs on my break and just watching it. And I was like, yes, fuck the system.
Fuck yeah. You are such a little gangster. You're a fucking rebel,
Such a gangster, man. Holy shit.
Look, moving on. Speaking of things that I think you're not going to care about too much. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you've never seen the original Space Jam, have you?
No, I have not.
All right. So seeing the trailer for Space Jam New Legacy, what are your impressions?
This looks great.
Oh, really? Yeah?
I think the trailer looks a lot like it looks like a lot of fun, to be honest. I think LeBron looks like he's having the time of his life, and the Ready Player One-ness of it as well is I was not expecting that, to be honest. I was just like, whoa, shit, Iron Giant, whoa, shit, all of these references, whoa. So, I mean, look, I won't be watching it, right? I mean, like, it's not something that I'll probably go to the movies for. But it looks interesting, like it took me by surprise by just how fun it looked, but I don't think, it's not getting my $18.
From memory, Space Jam, I was very young when it came out, but it was a worldwide phenomenon. It, I believe, broke box office records at the time. Because it was inspired by a commercial where Bugs Bunny played with him, with Jordan, and Jordan was like at the top of his game, I think. But it holds a dear place to a lot of people. And a lot of those old school fans, I get the vibe, are very disappointed with this trailer. And I kind of get why. And to be honest, I'm not a fan of, I guess we can call Ready Player One movies. Mostly because a lot of them, they don't take advantage of the brands they have. Like in Ready Player One, they'll be like, oh, look, there are Battletoads in the background. But they're always in the background. Like outside of The Shining, nothing really stood out for more than 5 seconds.
It's just a cool Easter egg, though, right? I mean, like, it makes a lot of sense in Ready Player One because of the world that they're in, right? I mean, like, you can't have everything front and center in the world that they're in, like it's a video game. That is true.
But most things were never front and center. Like I feel like there wasn't enough to, and that's a little bit disappointing to me. It's cool to be like, oh look, it's there, but I would have rathered if I don't know, fucking the Iron Giant, I don't know, had a scene or whatever. Like I think a better way to treat them would be
the Iron Giant fought Mechagodzilla.
He had something. He did.
What the fuck?
You know what I mean? Yeah, I couldn't think of another reference. Like if Chucky did more than just stab somebody, or maybe he talked. So I don't fucking know. But like, for example, I watched on TV the other day the Lego Movie, and I'm like, that's what I would call a good Ready Player One film, because in that, Batman is a main character. Gandalf has a few lines. Freaking all these like Easter eggs. They're not just Easter eggs. They're cameos, and they have. Some of them are integral to the plot, and I feel like a lot of these movies don't. And the other thing is like, I was talking to a friend of the show, who's done a lot of like movie advertising. Talking to her the other day, and it's like, I was like, who's the audience for this? Because it looks and feels like a kid's show, but all the references are people like our age, or, you know, and she was like, oh no, the audience is 100% people our age, because they
no one our age likes it.
That's the thing. It's like they're banking on the nostalgia. That's the people they're going to go. And it just makes me think, if we're the target audience, why not make a movie with your target audience in mind? Like, don't just have a bunch of references. Maybe make the story not feel like a G-rated film. Have it M15 at least, or something that's going to get us connecting on a more mature level. Because if your audience is mature, then make a mature movie. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm no marketing expert, so obviously I'm not going to tell Warner Brothers how to do their job. It just feels weird to me when you got like the guys from Clockwork Orange in a kid's film, you know? And also, kids don't fucking know who Bugs Bunny is. They know who Steve from Minecraft is. You know, if this was Minecraft characters playing with LeBron James, it'd probably be a bigger film, or Fortnite characters or some shit. That's the Looney Tunes of today's age, which is fucking depressing to hear, but it's true. And I don't know. But what I will say though is, the one good thing I will say about it, besides the fact that I hate their new little basketball tees, is this movie looks like it has a lot more heart than the original. The original one was just kind of silly through and through. The fact that it's following LeBron and his relationship with his son, I love it. That's really good. I will see this pretty early on because, you know, my childhood. So maybe they did get me, but it still feels like a little bit weird. But that's only maybe I'm just coming from like a critical perspective. That's too critical. I don't know. Look, guys, we got 2 more trailers for today. Let's end on a bit of a bang. So before that, let's go into Those Who Wish Me Dead. I didn't really see this one coming. I'll be honest, I'm still not really sure what to make of it, other than I think it's going to be good. You seem to have a better grasp on this than me. What do you think of this trailer, man? Or this film in general?
Yeah, so this is one that I've mentioned on the podcast a few times. This is Taylor Sheridan's next movie. So Taylor Sheridan directed Wind River, which we've covered on the podcast. He wrote Sicario. He wrote Hell or High Water. He's one of the co-creators of Yellowstone. He's kind of like one of those guys that can't miss right now. Like, you know, like he's kind of like, he's batting 100, right? Like he's knocking kind of everything out of the park. So, you know, it's one of those situations where when a trailer for his next movie drops, you're just like, okay, so this is most likely going to be good just solely based on the evidence that we have, you know, with us right now. And I think, you know, the premise of this is incredibly strong, right? It's about a young kid who
So
Yep.
yeah, I was going to say, can you please explain the premise? Because I think it kind of went over my head a little bit.
Okay. So the premise of this is about a young kid who witnesses a murder, possibly related to organized crime, and these two, the two murderers, they're two hitmen, apparently really confident and really proficient hitmen, try to hunt this kid down because they saw him witness the murder. The kid runs into Angelina Jolie's character, who's a firefighter. This is a part of the country that is incredibly susceptible to wildfires. The hitmen, in order to kill the kid, start this giant wildfire that pretty much sets everything into motion. I think it's partly a drama, partly a crime drama, but also partly a survival drama. So a lot of the time they're trying to survive this wildfire. But that's all I know about it, and that's kind of all I want to know about it. Like, there's no, like, I don't want to know any more, because Wind River was very similar. Wind River was about a murder that took place in the extremest of elements, like the extreme cold, like in the snow. It was actually, we talked about it in the podcast. It was, a lot of it was about being exposed to that kind of weather, like, that kind of like nature. So, him doing a movie immediately after Wind River where the weather is opposite, it's literally incredibly hot, is really interesting. But I like the idea, and I like what he's going for. Visually, it looks stunning. Angelina Jolie looks like she's killing it. I like that one of the hitmen is Aidan Gillen, who was in Game of Thrones, Littlefinger. I think this is an incredibly strong trailer, and I'll be there day one. Just based on Taylor Sheridan alone. So yeah,
Yeah, I think what's interesting, and I'm glad you ran through it because it made a lot more sense coming from your mouth, is the premise is really unique, and I feel like I have no, oh god, it's the phrase of the week. I have no frame of reference. Like, I can't think of a movie that's like this. Like, it looks like they're on the run from like some sort of mafia organized crime thing, but also on the run from like some sort of bushfire or something. So I am interested. I am on board for it, and the cast obviously looks great. Like, clearly, it really took me off guard because I'm just like, I don't know what to expect from this other than it's got a good cast and a really proven director, So I think that's interesting. The only thing I'd say is, like, I'm biased, but I kind of wish this took place in Australia. Just after everything we went through, it could have had this extra level of relevance. I wonder if it's a coincidence that this type of movies come out after that. But yeah, I just find that interesting. And also just like shout outs to Angelina Jolie's agent, because that over the next year or so, she's really planned this comeback. Great.
Warner Brothers had acquired the rights for this back in May 2019 before our fires. So this was well in development before that.
So that's a coincidence. I'm really curious to how they're going to put it out here in Australia. Like, how I wonder if they're going to market it a bit differently to us than they would other countries, just because we've had such a unique experience with bushfires recently. I guess America too. Last year they had a bunch of they called them something wildfires. Different, but they had wildfires as well in some states. So I think that's really interesting, and weirdly, it's made it really relevant. Probably more relevant than they thought it was going to be. So I think that's going to be interesting, and I really think we're going to see a lot of Angelina Jolie over the next few years.
Sorry, I'm just going through like the Wikipedia page. So Angelina Jolie plays a character named Hannah Faber, a veteran smoke jumper who assists Connor. And I looked up smoke jumper. Smoke jumpers are specially trained wildland firefighters who provide an initial attack response on remote wildland fires. They are inserted at the site of the fire via parachute. Damn.
So that explains the parachute scene in the trailer.
So shortly after smoke jumpers touch ground, they are supplied by parachute with food, water, and firefighting tools, making them self-sufficient for 48 hours. Smoke jumpers are usually on duty from early spring through late fall. Damn. So, in addition to performing the initial attack on wildfires, they may also provide leadership for extended attacks. Damn, shit.
That sounds like a really cool horror movie or a survival horror game. Like, holy shit, what kind of skill set would you need for that job? That's intense. That's really interesting. Thanks for looking that up. Last trailer for the day before we get into our reviews. Ladies and gentlemen, it's finally here. Zack Snyder's follow-up from the entire DCEU, Army of the Dead. We finally got a proper trailer. I'm not sure if we talked about it before when we saw the teaser, but this trailer had a lot more meat to chew on than that teaser, I think. What are your thoughts, man? Now that we've got the full trailer.
Looks like a lot of fun. A lot of fun, I think. It looks really well shot. By the way, the cinematographer on this movie, do you know who it is?
Is it our boy?
Who's our boy? Fabian? No, it's not Fabian.
Yeah. No? Oh.
No.
Who is it?
It's Zack Snyder himself.
Oh, he directed and shot it.
He directed and shot this movie and wrote it, yeah.
Other than Roma, I can't think of a single film that's been majorly released that's done that. Like, I know Spielberg held the camera for like a couple scenes in the big war movie.
And everything. Like I'm sure he's done a lot of ghost cinematographer.
Yeah. But the whole film,
yeah,
you're saying it's cinematographer the whole film.
There is one cinematographer credit on this film. It's Zack Snyder.
Wow. That is super impressive, especially for a movie like this. Like, I know he's always been a very visual director, but that is fascinating. Like, I'm even thinking just like from a logistical perspective, like how do you would have to run the set differently. You would have to, like, the pre-production alone would be a completely different process, especially for a movie on this scale. Like, I reckon he's breaking new ground in that regard. That is
a lot of respect.
I'm knocked over my seat just hearing that. Like, that's really impressive.
Yeah, it's a $90 million movie that he shot himself and directed himself and wrote himself, which is really impressive. So I hope it works out well for him.
Fuck, man. You're allowed to have an ego when you've done that. That's fucking awesome.
It's a 2-hour and 28-minute movie. So we all know Zach. He doesn't skimp the run times. But I think this movie looks really fun. I think it looks like everyone's having a lot of fun. This might be one of the best edited trailers I've seen in a very long time. Just the way it goes with the song, like you got to know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, know when to walk away. Yeah, all right. But yeah, it looks like a lot of fun, dude. I'm so on board with this. The action looks crazy. The visual effects are great. The interplay between all the gang looks fantastic. Dave Bautista looks like he's putting in some work. This might be we might finally see a good movie where Dave Bautista is the lead, but I don't want to say that too in advance, because this looks like more of an ensemble than anything. So yeah,
I was actually going to ask you. I'm interested. I'm glad you brought it up. It's like, has Dave Bautista ever led a film where it was particularly good?
No,
and I don't think he has. In fact, I don't think he really has the chops to lead a film. I think he works better in the strong silent type roles, personally. Even though we do know he can do comedy. Just, yeah, man. Look at this trailer. It does look like a lot of fun. It looks also very Zack Snyder, but I find it's a bit of a breath of fresh air, because I'm really happy he's out of the DC films, because I feel like it's taken up this huge chunk of his life. Zack used to be one of my favorite directors. Like, he had a really good run in these early days. And I feel like ever since Man of Steel, I thought it was all right. Everything after that, I was mostly disappointed by in terms of directing. But I still saw these elements of the Zack I love, and seeing him do a completely new and original it is completely original. It's not based on anything, is it? It's a completely original, right?
It is original, yes.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, like that particularly excites me, because I feel like I might get the Zack I loved. And I was really into the Dawn of the Dead remake. I haven't seen it forever. So to see him come back to zombies as well is also weirdly exciting. And I love these visuals. I just hope the characters and story are there, because I don't know, like I don't know. It's not like he hasn't proven himself, but yeah. Look, as long as it stays with that sort of runtime, as long as the pacing is good, I think this would be a good film. Like, clearly the visuals would be incredible, no matter what. At least we know we're going to get incredible visuals out of Zach. But I feel like he's really grown a lot over the last, particularly 5 years as a director as well. So I'm really excited to see what he does even after this as well. And just seeing some of these shots, like the fucking Statue of Liberty, where it's all kind of fucked up and shit. It's like, that's total Zack Snyder vibes, you know? He loves that type of imagery, and yeah, man, this is gonna be fun. That's all I got to say, really. I don't have much to say other than it's gonna be really fun, and I'm still just taking off my seat hearing that he fucking shot it too. That's so impressive. Go, Zach. That being said, I think that's time for us to move on to our reviews, isn't it?
Yeah. Do we only have one single review? I think it's singular, right?
Yeah, I was going to see The Courier, but we didn't have time to see it. I'm probably going to see it this week before it goes.
If we wrap up, I might be able to see that tonight because I heard such good things about it. If we wrap up sometime this century, though, just maybe. Yeah,
Kate was really keen to see it, and I forced her to watch Nobody instead. And I think it leaves cinemas this week, so hopefully I can see that along with Mortal Kombat. That being said, let's talk about Nobody.
So they took maybe $20 and an old watch? Mr. Matson, did you even take a swing?
No.
Could have taken her, Dad.
Heard you had some excitement last night. I wish they'd have picked my place, you know?
Why didn't you take him out?
I was just trying to keep the damage to a minimum.
Yeah, how's that working out for you?
You okay? Because you don't look okay.
There's a long dormant piece of me that so very badly wants out.
What are you still doing here, old man?
I'm gonna fuck you up.
Really dug it. I think if you take away... Okay, look, here's the thing. And I don't want to start it off with a negative. If John Wick didn't exist, this would be a fantastic film. It still is a fantastic film, but John Wick exists, and it's compounded by the fact that it's written by Derek Kolstad, who wrote John Wick. So,
and that is the biggest thing in the marketing. They're not like Bob Odenkirk's name full screen. It's from the writer of John Wick. Like, they're really making sure you know that.
And while it's a bit of a different speed than John Wick, I think it requires a bit more patience. Because it is it's on a somewhat smaller scale. It reminded me a lot more of The Equalizer than anything.
I see that.
Equalizer. Yeah. So, I enjoyed, dude, Bob Odenkirk was so good in this movie. Like, I don't think there's any... He is one of those actors that, when he pops up in something, he is going to give it his all, his 100%, man, because he is... He never fails to... he understands the assignment. He understands what he's going to do. But I think, tonally, this movie's fantastic as well. Like, there's spurts of, dark humor and dark comedy in there, kind of, intertwined with the sadistic violence that we end up seeing. But like I said, it's John Wick light, and if you haven't seen John Wick, then you're going to have a great time. And that's kind of what happened when we went to watch the movie, because I had obviously seen all 3 John Wicks, but Steph had never seen any John Wick movie. So she had no, quote, frame of reference while going into this movie. And I kept saying to her, I'm like, oh, this is very much like John Wick. But she's never seen John Wick, so she doesn't know. And she walked out, and, I was, really surprised with her reaction, and I loved her reaction. She's like, that might be one of the best movies I've seen in a very long time. And I was like, damn, that's awesome. Because I also really super enjoyed it, hey. I was like, man, once you get past a certain scene, I think it's a bus scene, and from that bus scene onwards, it's just like, all right, we're going. We're on go time. There's car chases, there's huge gunfights after that, but there's also a lot of setup as well. I think it's good. I think it does a lot of subtle things that, John Wick did as well. But I think if we were to lump John Wick, Atomic Blonde, and this together, I think it would go John Wick, Atomic Blonde, Nobody. Like, I think that's the order. And while this is a good kind of like first movie, if it does get a sequel, I'll be 100% on board. I don't think it hits the kind of like highs that John Wick does, because I don't think there's something about the world building in John Wick that was really that really elevates it. And Nobody, no, like, while he is tied to a bigger world, that remains kind of like, somewhat shady.
And
it
that
doesn't.
world
It's not interested in that.
Yeah, and that world probably doesn't have the scale that John Wick's.
Right. It's not. It's not as fantastical. It's not like something out of a comic book or anything. It's more real world. But I again, I really enjoyed it. It's from the director of Hardcore Henry, which was that first person kind of like Charlton Copley film. So it was interesting to see kind of like their actual directing style, because you can't tell anyone's directing style from Hardcore Henry. It's just too hard. Too hard. Get it? But anyway, so look, it's a solid film. Check it out. I really enjoyed it.
I also enjoyed it, but I was a bit disappointed. But that's probably not the movie's fault. It's probably I hyped it up a lot in my head. Like I've said this on the podcast before, but like I knew John Wick was going to be huge before it came out. I just heard Matrix stunt team, Keanu Reeves, this will be insane. And I kind of told myself this would be the same for Nobody. And it's not what that is. It feels like the budget for this was a lot smaller. I don't know if it was. It just feels, and like they had to play to that. And also Bob Odenkirk is not as physical actor as Keanu Reeves, obviously. Like he's still pretty physical in this. I think he did most of his own fight scenes and stuff as well. So shout outs to him. But it's a very different energy when it comes to action. It's a very different energy.
Just something I really wanted to mention while you're on Bob Odenkirk. Sorry, here's where because I do agree with you. He's not physically capable as Keanu Reeves, but I think the character of John Wick versus the character of what's Bob Odenkirk's name in this? It's not literally Nobody. It's Hutch. Sorry, Hutch.
Yeah.
Hutch is more of an everyman after he's quit the shady organization, right? Like, whereas like John Wick,
he's what John McClane was supposed to be, pretty much,
right? And John Wick was prepared to inevitably like dragged back in because he buried his shit underground. Like he didn't get rid of it; it was always there. So yeah, I think. I don't know. For me, it kind of like works in my headcanon that, Hutch was...
Oh, it does. It does work. Oh, you're 100% right. It does work within the reality of the film. It's a little less spectacular in terms of spectacle, But that's okay, because what this film tries to do to make up for the crazy martial arts stuff is it's a lot of like cool gadgets and shit. And he does some really cool stuff. Like there's some Home Alone, like military style Home Alone stuff going on, which is fun. And so that's kind of like what separates him, I guess, from someone like John Wick. But I do think the spectacle that John Wick and even Atomic Blonde has, like stylistically, it's not as here, but I think that's on purpose. This is meant to be a bit more realistic and grounded in terms of the world. However, the tone of the film is very comedic at times. And I feel like the tone of it, when it goes from really serious to really funny, it doesn't always blend as well as something like a Marvel film would do, It doesn't feel organic at times. And I really hate to say it, but I think this film would be so much better if they just committed to being a B-grade action film. Than trying to be funny, because a lot of the jokes, my partner and I, they didn't land for us as much, which is a bit disappointing. And it's not anyone's fault. Bob Odenkirk, we know he can be funny. I did find actually, what's his name? Back to the Future guy,
Christopher Lloyd.
Lloyd.
Awesome to see him, by the way.
Not only awesome to see him, but awesome to see him holding a shotgun. That was pretty cool. Whether it was played RZA, yeah, man. Look, that's also, I feel like that's from the John Wick handbook, just like they did Common. I feel like RZA is right there. Get an old school sort of wrap. Riz is a bit old school, isn't he? I think he is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. They and put him in the forefront with a gun, looking cool. But yeah, like I do feel like your listing of John Wick, Atomic Blonde, Nobody. It's not a knock on Nobody. It's just it's a little less exciting, and I feel like it might be like a budget thing because I feel like they could have gone a little bit bigger. And I feel like some of the comedy didn't land for me as well. And another little, just a little thing, not a big thing, but you know how you said before, like after a certain scene, it sort of picks up the pace. I think my problem with the script mostly is it's like two movies squished together. Like his first problem is getting the kitty cat bracelet, getting his shit back. And then after that, he meets a new villain and then he has to fight them. It's like, why just not make those guys the ones who's robbed his house? That'd be so much easier. Like, I remember my issue with John Wick 2 had the same problem because like he solves the problem after the first 20 minutes and then you have to do all this setup to get to a new problem to go on forward. And it really fucks the flow. But just like John Wick 2, after you get over that hump, it's fucking awesome. It's cool action scenes and shit like that. My last note, if they make a sequel, and I wouldn't be mad if they did, I want them to call Nobody 2. It's going to be called Nobodies. I feel like they set it up. There's like 3 of them now. Fuck yeah, make it happen. Yeah, I would watch a sequel, but yeah, don't expect this to revolutionize action cinema. I think it's going to be this huge thing like I did. Because at the end of the day, it's fine. It's like, I would put it just a bit above something like Unhinged in terms of scale. It's a good B grade action film, I would say.
I think I'm somewhat getting over these one man army movies, where you know, like your kind of like lead is, you know, he does get hurt, but he is invulnerable. Like, you know, he will walk out by the end of the movie, kind of thing. Like Atomic Blonde, like John Wick, like Nobody. It's, you know, it's kind of like harkening back to like the 80s, like Commando, right? Like where there's this super efficient hero, and he's taking on, you know, mountains and mountains of villains, and you know he ends up, you know, while he does end up getting hurt, he's always going to walk away fine. I think I'm slowly getting over that a little bit because, yeah, I don't know.
I guess at the end of the day, it's like, well, what makes this different to a superhero movie? You know, like they'll have more blood and swearing or whatever to try and make themselves look more mature and, you know, cool. But at the end of the day, like, how's this any different to fucking Iron Man flying to the sky? Well, at the end of the day, it's got less spectacle because less budget and CGI. It's got a more like, it's like they pretend they're more realistic, but they're not really. So I get that, and I can get how this can get over this quickly. To actually wonder if this is a problem for the genre, how do you solve it? Do you start doing ensemble movies?
No, you make your characters stronger.
Yeah, or maybe the villain kills somebody, so you add more stakes. Maybe you need better stakes. I think another thing you could do is maybe go the Last of Us route, where, you know, or like Logan, for example. Logan, he had a girl to protect, like a little girl to protect, so that gives something to it. I don't know, but going into this movie, watching the trailer, it felt like, and watching the movie, it still felt like you said, John Wick light. Like the story is very, very similar to John Wick 1 to me. They changed a few things around. You know, they crossed out, like they copied someone's homework, they crossed out the name, they changed it and rearranged some of the words. But like the plot is very similar. It just got different action set pieces and a different character. But that's okay. Anyways, look, I think we're done for the day. Nobody is fun. Check it out if you're in for it. And yeah, I think that's it for today. Thank you so much for everyone for joining us. We have no MDF game this week. Oh no, that's okay. You'll live. Z-Man, what's going on with the features and the Patreon? What's out there?
Yeah, absolutely. So the features we are working on currently. We've got Ghostbusters 2 in the can, ready to drop this weekend, and we're going to be recording Ghostbusters 1 for the bonus feed over this weekend. We've got Bad Crystal coming out every 2 weeks, which is great. And yeah, I mean, look, we're also planning to have another episode with Matt Prater on as well, because Matt just absolutely killed those 2 episodes with Contact and Stargate. So we are planning on having him on as well. He was just so awesome. I loved his insights and I loved the way he spoke. He's so eloquent, and so he's so fantastic at bringing up these heavy themes that I was like, all right, man, we gotta get together. We gotta do this as like a 3-way because I want in on this. So. Yeah, keep your eyes peeled for those. And if you do want to support the show and become a member, head to patreon.com/midnight double feature.
And as always, guys, give us a like on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, subscribe to us on YouTube, and please give us a 5-star review on iTunes. I know it sounds like we're begging here, but you just got basically 2 hours of free content. So, we help you, you help us. It's a nice little love relationship. Also, if you don't, you'll have bad luck for the next 7 years unless you forward this email to at least 30 people. Anyways, guys, I'm Matt and that's Zoheb. Thank you so much for joining us. We love you. Mwah. Give your mum a kiss for me. Laters.